Hi Ella. Hi Milo. So good to see you guys last month. We had so much fun playing on the playground, sliding down that hill. That was a blast. We got to do the family tradition of making the ravioli. That was awesome. I'm so glad we got to do that. But unfortunately, we didn't get to do our other family tradition, which is making Pizzelle cookies. I had the thing that we needed for it, this iron, and I had it at home and I forgot to bring it with me. It's kind of a special device, heats up and cooks the batter, makes them into cookies. So I'm gonna make some right now and you're gonna watch me, and then I'll send the cookies off and you can taste them. They're really good, I think. You've had them before, I think, Ella. But you might not remember. We don't make them but once a year. So here we go. Here's the recipe. This old piece of paper. I took a picture of it so that this wouldn't be the only record, but this is probably as old as your father, if not older. I don't even know how far back it goes, but it's got the instructions right here. The first thing we need is 6 eggs. Got 6 eggs. We need 3½ cups of flour. I got 3½ cups of flour. We need 1½ cups of sugar. 1½ cups of sugar. A cup of margarine. Believe it or not, you might not know what that is, but it's kind of like butter, but it's made out of vegetable oil rather than milk. Did you know that butter was made out of milk? Well, this is made out of vegetable oil. I've melted it because that's what the recipe calls for. It also calls for baking powder. The special combination of things that make cookies and cakes. You can buy it in the store. It's called baking powder. And we need some flavoring, some anise flavor. It's a little extract. Anise is a plant that tastes like licorice. I'm not sure if you like licorice or not, but hopefully so, because that's how these cookies are going to taste. Okay, first thing we do is beat the eggs, adding the sugar gradually. So I'm going to crack the eggs into the bowl, and not sure how I'm going to do that. I'll throw that in the trash. That's what I'm going to do. 2 eggs. 3 eggs. 4 eggs. 5 eggs. Oops, it's okay. Nothing came off. And 6 eggs. There we go. And we're going to beat the eggs, which kind of just means stir them vigorously. Really what you're doing here is you're getting air in there, I think. So you're stirring them all up, mixing them all up. See how it's turning into one big glob of eggs. And we're going to slowly beat in the sugar. These are just regular, plain old sugar. And we're just going to add a little at a time and mix it into the eggs. The eggs have 2 parts, I think you probably know. There's the egg white, and then there's the egg yolk, the yellow part. And when you're making pastries, you need to combine them all together. They don't really combine very easily, so you gotta stir them vigorously. You gotta beat them. Break down the protein in the egg white so that it combines with the yellow part. So how's that look? It's getting better. But if you look closely, there's still little pieces of white in there. So I want to make sure that those are all broken up. Beat a little harder. And add some more sugar. Not sure why you add the sugar slowly, but that's what the recipe says. Now, we've been following that recipe for years, so I'm going to keep doing it. Add a little more sugar. Just a little bit at a time. Maybe you add the sugar at a little bit at a time so it doesn't clump up. I'm not sure. But it's starting to make the sugary, eggy mix. Okay. And here's the last of the sugar. 1.5 cups of sugar beaten into the eggs. And now you can see it's just eggs and sugar. That's the start. The next thing on the recipe is to beat until smooth. Okay, that looks pretty smooth to me. That looks very smooth to me. And smooth means there's no clumps. So, I don't know if you can see that, but it looks very smooth. The next thing is to add the melted margarine. This stuff, remember? I said it was kind of like butter, but it's made out of vegetable oil instead of milk. So it comes in little sticks, just like butter, but I've melted it, and I'm going to add it to this mixture here. Don't say anything about doing it gradually, so I'm going to put it all in at once. Looks nice, nice yellow color, huh? That's most of it. I'm going to put that in the sink. Bring it clean up a little more easily. Excuse me. Cut that out later. And we're going to add, just stir that up so it combines with the egg and sugar mix. And stirring and stirring. At this time, we're supposed to add the flavoring as well. So, it's mostly combined. So the recipe calls for 4 teaspoons, I'm sorry, that's the baking powder, 2 tablespoons of vanilla or anise. I prefer anise. Here's my anise extract. And here's my measuring spoons. You've seen these, I'm sure. This one is a 1/4 teaspoon, that little one. This orange one is a 1/2 teaspoon. Purple is 1 teaspoon. Green is 1/2 tablespoon. And blue is a tablespoon. And our recipe says 2 tablespoons of flavoring. So I'm going to, there's 1, and there's 2. And here, you know, we go by the recipe, but experience has shown me that that's not enough flavoring. I like it a little more anisey. And there's only a little bit left in this bottle, so I'm just going to put it all in. It's about another 1/2 tablespoon. There we go. And that's part of what you do when you bake, is you learn by doing. So you do this once and kind of see how things turn out. You decide if you like it or not, and you make adjustments. And that, because we've been doing this for so long, that's one thing I remember, was that the recipe doesn't call for very much flavoring, so a little extra is what I do. Whoops, got a little too carried away there, splashed it, but not a lot, we're okay. Just got to be a little more gentle. So, do this kind of mixing motion. Got some margarine on the mixing spoon and I'm trying to get off, but it'll come off eventually. There we go. See, it's all mixing together now. I hope this bowl is big enough. The first time I've done this in this bowl, and all we have left to add is the flour, so I think we'll be okay. But I see some clumps of the margarine, so I'm stirring it until I get those out, kind of break those up against the side of the bowl. Well, I think that maybe that margarine was a little too cool after I melted it, but the lumps are coming out. Just have to do it a little extra work. Normally, that margarine is a little more liquid when you put it in here, but I took some time between melting it and to get this camera set up, and the margarine is a little thick, so just having to do a little extra work here. It's okay. A little extra stirring doesn't hurt. Makes it nice and smooth. The more you combine the ingredients, kind of the smoother the texture. If it's clumpy, then it's clumpy. Sometimes you want a clumpy cookie, but these are thin and crispy cookies, so we don't want them clumpy. Okay, well, not sure what I'm going to do about that. Can't get those lumps out. I'm just going to have to run with it. If I put that flour in there and there's lumps, then the flour will gather around the lumps of margarine because it's oil, and it'll make a lump, a floury lump. We don't want that, because then we'll have a floury piece of our cookie. It won't be smooth. So, what I might have to do is use a different tool called a whisk. It's got some edges on it that might help to break up that margarine. Also helps to really mix together all the ingredients, just because of the way it's made. Instead of one big spoon like that wooden spoon, it's got those edges, you know, the wire, and it mixes better. Got all the lumps out of the margarine with the whisk. Gonna go back to the spoon. It's a little easier, particularly to mix in flour, which is our next part. But we've also got to add some baking powder. The recipe calls for 4 teaspoons. 4 teaspoons. So we look at our teaspoons. See, we've got red, which is 1/8 of a teaspoon. 1/8. Yellow is 1/4, orange is 1/2, and purple, the best color, is 1 teaspoon. So we're going to add 4 of those to our flour. And see how they put this little ledge right there? So you can make it even. I mean, this kind of thing is really key when you're baking, particularly for things like baking powder. You want to get precise measurements. So you see how I did that? I kind of scraped it against that ledge and I got an even teaspoon. That's 3, and this is the 4th. 4 teaspoons of baking powder. So we have to sift it, sift the flour and the baking powder into the egg mixture. So the sifter is just a device that the flour will go through and it'll break it up. It'll make it finer, so it's not so clumpy. So I'm just gonna dump some in there, and I pull this little handle here and it moves the thing in there and it causes the flour to go through the grating. And it makes it really fine. You can see it's kind of clumpy, but once I sift it, I don't know if you can see that, but it's finer. And it mixes better with the egg mixture. I'm just going to stir that up. Again, for this we want to do it gradually so that it doesn't get too clumpy. See that thing in there? Kind of moves when you pull the handle, and it just kind of forces the flour through that screen. It makes it into a very fine powder. Takes all the lumps out. Turning into batter. It's turning from egg into batter. It's really all batters are pretty much the same thing. They're eggs and flour. Cookies, you put sugar in because they're sweet, but pancakes, you don't put sugar in. But it's still pretty much the same thing, I think. Eggs and flour. It's just batter. Waffles, the same thing. I don't know if you put sugar in waffle batter. It's kind of sweet, but not as sweet as cookies. And all those things, cookies and pancakes and donuts, my favorite, they're all pastries. And this is kind of a paste. That's where the word pastry comes from. I'm just making that up, but I might be right. Sounds right, doesn't it? A pastry comes from paste. We're making a paste. Used to be, when I was your age, we would make paste in school. The kind of paste that you use to glue things together. And you would use flour and water, no eggs. But you'd use salt. And that would make it kind of sticky, clumpy. And it would turn it into something like this. You'll see, once we get all this flour in here, it'll be really thick. And there was a point, see, it's kind of sticking to the sides, so I just kind of banged it. Forced it to get off the sides of the sifter. And you can see it's getting thicker. It's getting pastier. It's turning into a pastry. Man, there is a lot of flour, but that's the way it goes. Things that are good take a long time. You got all the flour mixed in with the egg, and it is a batter. It's cookie dough. Pizzelle cookie dough. Pizzelle. Pizzelle. Kind of like pizza. And I guess there are some similarities. If you think of a pizza crust, it comes from a dough very much like this. Eggs and flour. Kind of like pasta. It's just a little variation. It's got sugar in it. Wow, that's really thick. I don't know if you can see that. I hope so. I'm going to taste it. Mmm. Really good. So I'm mixing it all up, and I've got the iron all set up. All you do is plug it in and it heats up. It's got no dials on it. And I think we're ready to start making cookies. I think the iron is hot enough. You've got to wait till it gets hot. This particular iron doesn't have any lights or anything on it, so you don't really know when it's hot enough. You just kind of have to plug it in and give it some time. But I plugged it in a little while ago, so I think it's ready. I've got my iPhone here. I'm going to use a stopwatch so I can cook the cookies. Can't remember exactly what it is. I think it's a minute, but we'll see. You know, we've got a lot of batter here. If the first couple don't come out all right, doesn't matter. We'll just adjust from what we learn. If they're a little too well done, we won't cook the next ones as long. That kind of thing. So, there it is. It's definitely, there's heat coming off of there. Doesn't feel terribly hot, but I think it's ready. So I'm going to give it a try. And all I'm going to do is take a little bit of batter and put it in the center. Just about that much. Oh, I can hear it cooking. Can you hear that? And then we close it. And clip it. Oh, you can see the steam coming from it. Oh, I forgot to start my watch. Starting the timer. It's definitely cooking. Can you see the steam coming out of there? I can smell it. Well, I cleaned it. So these first couple may not be keepers. They may have some stuff on them. You might not cook them as well as they need to be cooked either. Well, it's been about 30 seconds. Is that what it is? I can't remember if it's 30 seconds or a minute. I think it's 30 seconds because that seems about the time. I'm going to see. Oh, they stuck to the top. But, oh yeah, that's pretty good. See, they're kind of lightly brown. So I think it's about 30 seconds. But you can see there's some stuff. That black stuff is from when I cleaned it. So those aren't keepers. Those will go in the trash. And we'll do another one. And that's all there is to it. About a tablespoonful of batter right in the center. And close it, squeeze it, clip it. Oh, that was a little too much. Can you see it's coming out the sides there? I forgot to start my... Oh, it's making sounds too. Can you hear that? That's steam from all the moisture coming out of there. And I've got my timer going so I can be consistent. Because once you find out what your number is, then you do them all the same way. And that way they're consistent. And there we reached 30. So I'm going to open it up. Those are a little better. But that's too much batter. See how it's all flowing around the edges and stuck together? I've been putting too much batter in there. Seems kind of, you know, soft right now, but as they cool off, they'll crisp up and they'll be cookies. Again, I can see there's a little bit of that black stuff still on there from when I cleaned it, so again, I'll probably eat those. But normally we just put those in the trash. We got plenty of batter, so we'll have plenty of cookies. But I'm going to put a little less. I'm going to try to put a little less so they come out as distinct cookies. Just got 2 spoons right there. And start the timer. This is the best part. You get some on your hands and you get to lick your fingers. Not exactly sanitary, but I'll wash my hands right now. See how that works? And this is what we do. We make, and this will make a lot of cookies. We'll see at the end how many there are. Still a little too much because it's supposed to be 2 separate cookies. But that's the right length of time. They're just slightly brown. They'll be nice and crispy when they cool off. So I'm going to put a little less. And I don't know if that's less or not. I think I got... That's definitely less. And I'm going to cook them again. Start the timer. Now you can see that the first batch, not flimsy anymore, it's crispy. It's when they cool off, they crisp up. "26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1 for good measure." Stop the timer, reset it, and open it up. Still too much. That's me though. You know me, I'm the same way with the ravioli filling. I always put too much in. Try to be a little less this time. I think that's less. Not a whole lot less though. So that one's going to overflow too. That one, if I can get that, okay. Start the timer. Whoa, that made a funny sound. And we're making cookies. Okay, making progress. Ooh. See, that's what happens if you put a very little bit in, you get that dainty little cookie. That one was off center, that's why it flew over the edge, but you can see I've got very little batter left, or dough, I'm not sure which one it is. Pretty much the same thing. That's a lot, unfortunately. Got a little overzealous there. I've been cooking them for a little longer. You see, these are a little darker. Some people like them a little bit more crispy. So we got a little variety to choose from. I'll send a crispy one and a not so crispy one. you can see which one you like better. I don't like them super crispy myself, so we'll see how you like it. Forgot to start my timer, so this one I'm just guessing. I think it's probably been about 20 seconds. I'm gonna say 30 seconds. And voila. Oh yeah, that looks good. Right in between. Oh, look at that. Overflowed a little bit, but still very nice. Scrape off as much as we can. Maximize our output. This might be the last one, actually. This is gonna be the last batch. Last cookie. Not enough there. See if I can scrape enough off to make a whole decent sized cookie out of it. Yes, got a decent sized cookie out of it. Start the timer. And there it is. I mean, there's still some in there. Might be able to make one or two more. Let's see. And maybe one more. If that even. Yeah, I'll go for it. What the heck? It can't hurt. Pretty much, that's it. Oh yeah, see? Look at that. That's the way they're supposed to be. And I will try to make one more. You don't have to do two. One will work. See if I can get enough batter on there to justify it. But I'm going to have to do it now. So I'm going to be able to get it off of there. So that's going to be our last cookie. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy them. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.